I watched him from my window as he dragged 3 garbage bags to the curb. The bags burst, spilling trash onto the pavement. Rotten food, shredded documents, the debris of a shattered life. Victor didn't even bother to pick it up. He just stood there, staring at the wet asphalt with the hollowed-out look of a man whose soul has been eaten. He glanced up, saw me watching, and for a second, our eyes locked. I didn't look away. I didn't smile. I just watched him crumble, feeling a cold, quiet satisfaction settle in my chest. You probably think I'm a monster. You might say I went too far, but you don't know what he took from me. You don't know that the man standing there in the rain once destroyed the only thing that ever mattered to me just to make a quick buck. My revenge didn't start today. It started 3 years ago, the night he burned my world to the ground. And if I had to do it again, I wouldn't change a single thing. 3 years ago, I was on top of the world. I was 22, a senior at a top university, balancing a dean's list GPA with a starting spot on the track team. I had a scholarship lined up, a girlfriend who looked at me like I was her entire universe, and a future so bright it hurt my eyes. I was that guy, the one who had it all figured out. I walked with a swagger, fueled by the arrogance of youth and the safety net beneath me. That safety net was my family. I grew up in a house that smelled like fresh coffee and cinnamon. It was the kind of home where the front door was never locked, where neighbors dropped in unannounced just to say hello. I never knew what real struggle felt like. I thought failure was something that happened to other people. I loved my parents, but like most kids that age, I took them for granted. They were just there, solid, permanent. I assumed they'd always be holding each other's hands, waiting for me to come home. I had no idea that a predator was circling our perimeter, getting ready to strike. My parents were the kind of couple people write poems about. They'd been married for 25 years and they still acted like newlyweds. I remember waking up on Sundays to the smell of my dad making pancakes. Not because it was his birthday or Father's Day, just because he'd bring a tray upstairs to my mom, and I'd hear them laughing through the closed door. They had this unspoken language. A glance across a crowded room meant everything. They held hands while watching movies, even the boring ones. Their anniversary parties were legendary. Not because they spent a fortune, but because you could actually feel the love in the room. It was a fortress of trust. My dad was the rock, a successful accountant with a spine of steel. My mom was the heart, warm and forgiving. Together, they were invincible, or so I thought. We didn't know that invincibility is just a target for the right kind of enemy. Then came Viktor. He moved in next door when I was away at college. Smooth, charismatic, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He became my father's business partner and best friend within months. But Viktor was a predator with a plan. He wanted my father's share in their investment firm, and he was willing to destroy everything to get it. He started by embezzling funds and making it look like my dad was the thief. Forged documents, fake invoices, altered spreadsheets, all pointing to my father as a gambling addict spiraling out of control. Simultaneously, Viktor poisoned my mother's mind with careful whispers. "Sarah, have you noticed how stressed David is? I'm worried about him. I've seen some troubling financial statements." The final blow came on a Friday night. Viktor hired an actress named Melissa, paid her $3,000 to approach my father in a restaurant parking lot, throw herself into his arms sobbing about a fake investment crisis. And Viktor made sure my mother drove by at exactly that moment. The image of my father holding a beautiful younger woman shattered 25 years of trust in a single second. Within a week, divorce papers were filed. My father, drowning in fabricated debt and accusations, couldn't defend himself. The house was sold. Viktor swooped in and bought my dad's business share for pennies on the dollar. My father collapsed into alcoholism. My mother fled to another state, destroyed by shame. I came home to an empty house and a family in ruins. I spent 6 months watching my father waste away in a studio apartment, his hands shaking, his eyes dead. My mother wouldn't answer my calls. Then the grief hardened into rage, cold, focused, purposeful. I was going to destroy Viktor the way he'd destroyed us. I started digging public records, business filings, social media. I found inconsistencies everywhere. A former secretary he'd fired gave me the critical lead. Viktor kept a personal laptop in a safe in his office where he conducted his private business. I broke into his office one Tuesday night, picked the lock, and cracked his biometric safe using a lifted fingerprint from a coffee cup. Inside was everything: the laptop, emails to Melissa the actress, doctored financial statements, offshore account numbers, a physical ledger documenting every crime like trophies. I copied it all. But I didn't go to the police. I wanted him to suffer slowly. I started sending anonymous letters to his house, photocopies of his incriminating emails, highlighted in red, deliveries at odd hours, dead roses, a broken clock frozen at the time my parents' marriage ended. I watched paranoia consume him as he installed cameras and checked his locks obsessively. Then I contacted his business associates with anonymous tips. Have you audited Viktor's books? You might want to. The whispers spread. People started asking questions. Next, I sent a complete dossier of his tax evasion to the IRS, SEC, and investigative journalists. Within 2 weeks, audits began, credit lines froze, his partners demanded answers he couldn't give. The final blow was a website I created posting everything. The video of him hiring Melissa, the emails, the financial documents, the full timeline. I sent the link to everyone in his clone contact list. Neighbors, friends, his wife's book club, his kids' teachers. His wife divorced him within 48 hours. The country club expelled him. Friends vanished. He became a pariah overnight. I watched from across the street as the moving truck arrived, and he carried boxes alone, abandoned by everyone. Destroying Viktor was necessary, but rebuilding my family was the real work. I dragged my father to rehab, visiting every weekend through 90 days of hell. The shakes, the nightmares, the shame. When he emerged clear-eyed, I showed him the evidence of Viktor's conspiracy. The disbelief turned to horror, then quiet rage. We hired a lawyer who took the case pro bono. Within 6 months, my father's name was cleared, the investigation shifted to Viktor, and stolen funds were frozen. My mother was harder. I flew to Arizona where she'd been hiding, laid out the entire conspiracy at her kitchen table. The forged documents, the hired actress, everything. She read for hours, then broke down crying. He made me believe your father was a monster. Getting them in the same room took months of persuasion. Finally, at a coffee shop on a cold Saturday, they sat across from each other for the first time in 2 years. 30 minutes of silence. Then my mother said, "I'm sorry, I didn't believe you." My father, tears streaming, replied, "I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to prove the truth." They talked for 4 hours, yelling, crying, excavating every piece of pain. Then my father reached across the table and took my mother's hand. She squeezed back. That squeeze was the first brick in rebuilding everything. 2 years have passed. Today I'm sitting in my parents' new dining room, surrounded by laughter and the smell of roast chicken. My father is carving meat, joking about his technique. My mother pours wine, her smile genuine. They look older, grayer, but when my father kisses her cheek and she laughs, I see it. Love that survived the fire, stronger for having been tested. My father has a new consultancy job. My mother finished her counseling degree and now helps other manipulation victims. They've turned pain into purpose. Viktor? He's in a basement apartment, facing criminal trial for fraud and embezzlement. His assets are frozen. His wife took everything. His kids won't speak to him. He's alone and broken. I saw him last week, walking in an oversized coat, shoulders hunched. I drove past without stopping. He didn't deserve my attention anymore. Some say revenge is empty. Maybe for them. For me, it was justice, making sure the man who destroyed my family faced consequences. In tearing down his lies, I gave my parents the truth they needed to find each other. Tonight, as we toast new beginnings, I look at my parents' joined hands and know I'd do it all again. Some things are worth fighting for. Some fortresses are worth rebuilding, even if you have to burn down the enemy's walls first. Protect your family. Fight for the people you love. And if someone tries to destroy them, Make sure they regret it. That's not being a monster. That's being human.